Okay, today we're going to be talking about mean, median, mode, and range. So to start with, you should have a piece of colored paper. You're going to need to fold this paper in half, hamburger style. Then you're going to need to fold it towards the middle on both sides, so that it will open up like this. So it's folded in half, hamburger style, and then each edge is folded in towards the middle. Then you'll fold it in half towards the top, just to make a crease, and that's going to be where you're going to need to cut, so that your paper will look like this, and it will open up like this. So there'll be 8 different compartments. Okay, I use several different colored markers or colored pencils to help me see the different ideas. Okay, so on our first part of the foldable, you're going to label that as the mean. And the mean is the average. And so in a different color, I wrote average coming off of the A to help me remember the mean is the average. And then I wrote the median, and then in a different color, I wrote middle coming down, because median and middle both have a D in the middle of them, and that helps me remember the median is the middle number. Then on the bottom part of the foldable, I've got mode and then most. So mode and most both have an O in them, and that helps me remember the mode is the most often occurring number. And then I have the range. Now we call the mean, the median, and the mode the measures of central tendency. So you're going to need to label this the measures of central tendency. The mean, the mode, and the median are the measures of central tendency. That's why I've got the arrows pointing to those, because these 3 words describe the middle of the data, basically. And the range is not a measure of central tendency, but we talk about it at the same time we do mean, median, mode, and range. So when you open your foldable, after you have this labeled for mean, you'll open this up. And on this flap, well, the mean is the average, so you need to write average. And how we find an average is we add up and divide by how many. So for example, grades. Okay, mean Mrs. Warren averages your grades. Okay, so the average is mean. And we use the mean it best describes the data when there are no extreme values. Now, an extreme value is called an outlier. And what an outlier is a way crazy high or way crazy low value. So if I were giving a test and everybody made like between a 70 and a 95, and one person made like a 35, the 35 would be an outlier. And it would not be a good example of the data if I use the average for that. So the mean is the average. We use it to best describe the data when there's no extreme values. Then we have the median. The median is our middle number. To find it, we put the numbers in order from least to greatest, and then we find the middle number. So we just knock off the lowest and the highest till we get to the middle. Sometimes there's one number in the middle, and sometimes we have 2 numbers in the middle. So if there are 2 numbers in the middle, then we have to average those 2 numbers to find the median. And the median will best describe the data when there are extreme values or outliers. Because we're knocking off the high and the low values, that outlier is really not going to affect the data when we use the median. So the median is the middle number. We can use it when there is outliers to describe the data. We have the mode. The mode is the most often occurring number. So there could be one mode, there could be more than one mode, or there could be no mode. If there are no modes, it's important that you write no mode. If you write a 0, that's incorrect, because 0 is a number, and if you wrote 0 for the mode, that would mean that 0 happened the most often in that set of data. So if there's no mode, we write no mode. There could be, if there was a quiz and I had 5 95s, then the 95 could be my mode. If I had 3 85s and 3 95s, then 85 and 95 could be my mode. And we use the mode to, when it best describes the data when there are multiples of a number. So when we have several of one number, then the mode is going to be the best choice to represent the data. All right, then we go to range. And range does not represent the middle of the data or the average of the data. Range shows how spread out the data is. Okay, and we basically, when we use range, it's kind of like it's a vocabulary question, because it's going to use words like the variance of the data, the spread of the data, the variety of the prices, the difference, the span. All of these words are keywords that let you know you're going to find the range. To find the range, subtract the high minus the low. Okay, so for example, this could be temperature or prices. So if we have a range of temperatures from 9 degrees to a negative 30 degrees, okay, well, you need to write this out, because this will be 9 minus a negative 30. And when we have minus a negative, that turns into our great big plus, so that we actually add. Okay, so 9 plus 30 is 39. So the range from 9 degrees to a negative 30 degrees is 39. And it's easy to see this if we use a number line. But just remember that when we're subtracting negative numbers, we have to use our integer rules, and that can be tricky. Just remember to think of a number line or a thermometer when you're finding the range.